Hello, I'm Tashi Lewa, a supervising attorney here at the Legal Aid Society. I am going to talk to you about your rights with the security deposit you pay a landlord in order to rent an apartment. While the security deposit belongs to you, the tenant, they are meant to protect the landlord in case a tenant stops paying rent, breaks their lease early, or damages the property. But if you successfully meet the terms of your lease, you have a right to your security deposit after you've moved out of the apartment. Unfortunately, landlords have taken advantage of tenants by requiring excessive security deposit amounts, failing to return all the funds at the end of a lease, or unfairly withholding a portion of the deposit without proper documentation. This is illegal, plain and simple. Issues with your security deposit should not be a barrier to your ability to access safe and secure housing. Here are 5 things you need to know about your rights with security deposits. Under New York state law, a landlord can only ask for first month's rent and a security deposit equal to 1 month of rent. However, landlords routinely ask for first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit. This violates the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act. If your rent goes up, the landlord can ask for the amount of the increase to be added to your existing security deposit. Ultimately, the security deposit belongs to you, the tenant. That means your landlord can't mix your security deposit with their personal funds or use any of the money while you have a lease. All security deposits must be kept in a New York state bank, and the landlord must provide in writing the name and address of the bank. Beyond that, the rules differ slightly depending on how many units are in your building. If your building has 6 or more units, the deposit must be held in an interest-bearing account. Your landlord can collect a 1% fee of the deposit amount, but all other interest earned on the deposits belong to you. Tenants can have their interest paid to them annually, applied to their rent, or paid at the end of the lease term. If your building has less than 6 units, your landlord can voluntarily place the deposit in an interest-bearing bank account, but they're not required to do so. If they do, they must follow the same rules. The landlord may keep all or a portion of your security deposit for any damages to the apartment beyond normal wear and tear. The landlord can also keep all or part of your deposit if you break your lease or if there is unpaid rent. Just remember that the landlord can only make these claims after you leave the apartment. If the landlord keeps some of the deposit for damages, they must provide an itemized receipt describing the damages and cost. If the landlord does not provide you with a receipt within 14 days of moving out, they must return the entire security deposit, whether there is damage or not. Walkthrough inspections are not required in order for the landlord to return your security deposit. However, inspections can help both the landlord and the tenant assess any damages or determine what needs to be cleaned before the landlord attempts to claim a portion of the security deposit. Tenants can ask the landlord to inspect the apartment before moving out. If an inspection takes place, the landlord must allow the tenant to be present, and the landlord must clearly communicate anything that needs to be fixed or cleaned. After moving out of the apartment, tenants should request the security deposit in writing through certified mail. The tenant should provide the landlord with their new address. The landlord has up to 14 days to return the security deposit after the tenant has moved out of the apartment and return the keys to the landlord. If your landlord doesn't return the security deposit, you can take your case to small claims court to get your deposit back. If the landlord deliberately breaks the law, the tenant may be entitled to up to twice the amount of the security deposit. You can also contact the New York Attorney General's Office, Bureau of Consumer Frauds and Protections, which can mediate between the parties. In closing, it's very important to keep in mind that tenants have the right to live in a safe and habitable home. We at the Legal Aid Society are here to help if you believe your landlord is violating the law. Please visit our website at legalaidnyc.org to get more information.